But let's take a look at the big picture. AJ Anapi put this out and says, most people are still viewing President Trump's foreign policy through the old post-World War II lens. That lens is obsolete. What Trump is attempting is not a minor policy adjustment. It is complete restructuring of the global economic and geopolitical order. For 80 years, America operated under a globalist framework. America paid the bills. America defended everyone. America opened its markets. America carried NATO. America protected shipping lanes. America subsidized allies. America tolerated trade imbalances. America exported democracy while factories disappeared and debt exploded at home. That system enriched multinational corporations, global institutions, foreign economies, and permanent bureaucracies. But millions of Americans watched manufacturing collapse, wages stagnate, communities hollow out, endless wars drain trillions, China rise into superpower using America's own economic system against itself. Trump is trying to replace the model with something entirely different. A transactional America First economic coalition built around energy, trade, security, manufacturing, and strategic deals. That True Social post about the Abraham Accords wasn't just another statement. It was the blueprint for the plan. If this succeeds, you're looking at the construction of a massive economic security network that include the United States, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Israel, Pakistan, Turkey, India, parts of Latin America, strategic Indo-Pacific partners, and critically, a normalization framework with both China and Russia where competition still exists, but catastrophic conflict is avoided through economic leverage, negotiated spheres of influence, energy coordination, and transactional diplomacy. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of Trump's geopolitical plan. Many Americans still think in Cold War terms. America versus Russia, America versus China, permanent hostility, permanent escalation. But Trump's approach is far more transactional and realist. Instead of trying to ideologically remake the world, the strategy appears focused on preventing direct great power war, reducing the chance of nuclear escalation, using trade leverage instead of permanent military occupation, creating economic independence where possible, forcing burden sharing among allies, and positioning America as the central negotiating power between rival blocs. That does not mean surrendering to China or Russia. It means recognizing a reality many in Washington refuse to accept for decades. China is already an economic superpower. Russia remains a military and energy superpower. The question is no longer whether they exist as major powers. The question is whether America can position itself at the center of a new balance of power that benefits Americans instead of endlessly draining American wealth trying to maintain a fading unipolar system. This is why you're seeing negotiations instead of immediate escalation, energy diplomacy, tariff wars instead of troop surges, pressure campaigns tied to trade access, selective partnership instead of blind alliances, attempts to split rival coalitions apart through deals. Trump is essentially trying to create overlapping economic zones where America is no longer carrying the world for free, but instead sits at the center of the world's most powerful deal-making network. Combined economic power, potentially 60 to 75 trillion in GDP, over half the global economy. Think about what this means. This is about energy dominance, shipping lanes, critical minerals, AI infrastructure, manufacturing chains, food security, military positioning, trade corridors, investment flows, currency leverage, stabilizing relations between major powers where possible, isolating hostile behavior through leverage instead of endless occupation wars. And younger Americans especially need to understand this part. This directly impacts your future. If America remains trapped in the old system, debt keeps exploding, jobs continue leaving, housing becomes less affordable, wages get crushed by global competition, endless foreign entanglements continue, America slowly declines like other aging empires. But if America successfully repositions itself at the center of a new energy manufacturing trade coalition, industrial jobs return, energy prices stabilize and go much, much lower. Strategic industries reshore, accelerates. Infrastructure investment increases, supply chains become more secure. America regains leverage instead of bleeding leverage. This is why you see aggressive pushes around tariffs, domestic manufacturing, energy independence, critical minerals, Middle East normalization, India relations, securing trade routes, reducing dependency on hostile supply chains, stabilizing great relations through leverage and economic pressure instead of permanent military escalation. This is not random. This is an attempt to build a new geopolitical architecture for the next 50 years. And whether people like Trump or hate him personally is becoming irrelevant to the scale of what is unfolding. The Abraham Accords themselves are historic because they shift the Middle East from perpetual religious geopolitical conflict toward economic interdependence, peace through prosperity, trade instead of proxy wars, economic incentives instead of permanent instability. That changes everything. Investment floods in, shipping stabilizes, energy markets calm. Regional growth accelerates, tourism expands, infrastructure projects explode, security cooperation increases. And Trump is doing all of this to return the United States to the way the founding fathers wanted it. Remember, the deep state players, they created this new world. They created the globalist world. They created the cartels. They centralized everything. That is what Trump is doing right now. He's decentralizing the entire world. This is why they don't want him winning in Iran. This is why they're trying to convince everyone it's a lost cause. Trump knows it isn't. He knows they're on their last leg. He knows that he'll have a win in a week or so. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. But he knows it's coming. And you can see the deep state players, they're using their propaganda networks to push a certain narrative. But that narrative is going to completely fall apart. Remember, they pushed the narrative with COVID. Remember that in the very beginning? It came from the wet market. That no, it was not from the lab. They lied. They lied to the American people. They always lied to the American people. And what's very interesting is that Biden's FBI, that's FBI 1.0, by the way, prevented Customs and Border Patrol from searching and questioning Dr. Peter Daszak on a return trip from China, the man who funded COVID research in China. So what's very interesting, and Bill Mulligan put this out,